Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name's Jeremiah Krakowski, and on this podcast, we talk about ways for you to grow in your life and your business and strategies that are going to help take you to the next level so that you don't have to struggle and spin around wondering, does this work? Does that work? It's like a university for you on business, mindset, marketing, and sales all rolled into one. There's over 134 episodes of this podcast. And so if you're just joining us for the first time, hey, what's up? Be sure to share this podcast with other people and go through some of the other episodes. I believe that there's an episode for everybody. If you're listening to this one, there's other episodes that you're going to love as well. Be sure to join the hashtag Grow Your Life Facebook group on Facebook. There's 1,500 people just like yourself that are growing in their life and in their business every single day. Now, today, I want to talk about self-belief in business. I believe strongly, more than ever, that you cannot be successful even a little bit in business without self-belief, without believing in yourself, without believing what you're putting out there. Because you have to be able to sell. So a business, let's break this down, right? A business provides value to the marketplace. This is fundamental. And you are offering a product or a service to the marketplace, something of value that people believe in, that helps them. Now, it doesn't always have to help them. I would hope your products and services would, but let's be real. There's a lot of businesses out there that don't help people. So I'm just being honest with you right there. But you have to believe so much in yourself as a business owner that it has nothing to do with your market, your products, your services, or the opinions of other people. You see, I talk about that so often when it comes to business, that you can't let other people's opinions stop you. You can't let the opinions of other people get in your head. But unfortunately, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in what you're doing and what you're going after, what else do you got but other people's opinions? And I think that's really one of the biggest things that holds business owners, potential business owners back, is they find their security, they find their foundation, they find their strength and belief in other things besides believing in themselves. And they're really holding on by a string to the last ditch effort of what they did last or what somebody said last to them and their own motivation. For you to be successful as a business owner, you're going to have to learn how to cultivate and develop self-belief inside yourself that has nothing to do with your performance. It has nothing to do with what you did last. It has nothing to do with the critics, the opinions of other people. It has nothing to do with your mistakes or successes. And that's where most people get stuck. And they're basing their confidence and their self-belief and how much they believe in what they can accomplish based on how successful they were in the past, what other people say about them, whether they made a mistake or not, whether things are going their way or not. And so they're like this. They're like a roller coaster of ups and downs in their self-belief and confidence. Those people are broke. They're not successful. They don't make money. They don't make money in a business. And those are most of the people that are struggling and want to make money in a business. By the way, if that's you, if it sounds like you, that's great. You're in the right place, okay? Because that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about how to break past this and how to break out of this so that you can grow and have self-belief. Some of us are even taught that having self-belief is a bad thing if it's not tied to performance, if it's not tied to other people's opinions. And so we have to change a number of our beliefs, both about what success means, about ourselves, about where our strength comes from. It can come from many different places. For me, mine comes from my faith in God. And anytime that I waver away from my faith, my self-belief starts to shrink that much lower, because I've always found that my belief in myself is tied directly to how close I am in my walk with God. It's not the same for everybody, and I get that, and that's okay. But one of the things that I want to tell you, no matter where your self-confidence comes from, it has to come from inside. It can't come from performance. It can't come from other people's opinions, because those things can change your performance. Now you have control over it, but at the same time, there's market factors that come into play. You could be so on track and then have one mistake that then is a failure. You fall flat on your face, you lose everything. And you got a decision to make. Do you get back up again, or do you wallow in your sorrows and complain and be upset? Is your self-belief tied to your highs and lows? Does it go low when you don't perform well? Does it go higher when you do well? This is an area as humans that we need to evolve and grow out of attaching how much we believe in ourselves to how we look compared to other people, how we sound compared to other people, how we perform, the opinions of other people. And it comes from within, that no matter what happens outside of you, no matter what mistakes you make, you still believe in yourself, because you know that you know that you know that you are on the right track. And that, my friends, is a huge unlock, key, and secret to success. That your belief in yourself is not dictated by how good or bad you perform, or how good or bad the feedback and press you get from others. What if you lived your life that way? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever asked yourself why maybe you don't? Maybe you have never thought of that up to this moment in time. Why you attach your confidence and your self-belief to opinions that other people have about you and how you perform. Why is that? You see, as I said, those things go up and down. But if your confidence and your belief in yourself and your business is tied to those things that are variable, that's the results that you'll get in your business. And that's what most business owners have. And they never quite reach that place where they start to have any level of success, because they're attaching their performance and other people's opinions to be the indicator of how good they're doing. And that's a recipe for failure. And so that's why we got to take a step back. We got to take a step outside of our business, outside of our performance, outside of the opinions that other people have. Oh, by the way, the more successful you get, the more negative opinions you're going to get about what you're doing. It's part of it. Embrace it. It's actually an indicator of success. The more haters and negativity you get, the more people that say that you're doing bad is a good thing. So embrace that. Know that that's a good thing. Know that that's a sign that you're on the right track. Okay? Next, how you perform, that can change. Now, yes, we want to perform excellently. My goodness, friends, we want to achieve levels of financial success. If we're an artist, art success, accolades, all that stuff's great. But don't let it get in your head that you buy into your own press and that your level of confidence and self-belief changes based on how you perform, how you do, and what other people say about how you're doing. Have you ever thought about what your life would be like if you had the same level of confidence? I want you to think back to a time when you were ultra successful and you were just winning at everything. I think most of us have had a moment in our lives where we have experienced that at least once or twice. Think to that time, okay? Think of how that felt. Now, I want to ask you this. What if you felt that way even when everything else was going wrong in your life? Even when nothing was working out for you? Even when you made major mistakes, you still felt like you were at the top of your game? That might tweak your brain a little bit. You may have a hard time even comprehending that. And that's okay. It was hard for me to comprehend that too in the beginning. But that's the place that we want to get to, that even when we're at the bottom, even when things are not going how we want, even when we're getting negative press, even when our performance is not there, our self-belief and self-confidence is still at its peak, at its top. level. Because what will happen is that's the temperature gauge that you'll be able to get back up to. And I see so often people allow outside indicators to pull them down, to pull them into a play. Oh, you didn't do good. Oh, you suck. Oh, great. Now, and we tell ourselves that we're not good enough and that we have to somehow earn our way back up the mountain to that place. I'm here to tell you that that hamster wheel, that up and down, the health industry likes that because that's the same thing as what causes yo-yo dieting. Marketers like it because they want to convince you that you're inadequate. But if you want to be successful as a business owner, you have to take a step back from how you've lived your life up to this moment in time, the habits that you've had up to this moment in time in your life. You have to take a step back away from those and change the beliefs that you have about what you're doing. You have to change the perspective that you had. See, most of the beliefs that we have, especially if you're in corporate America, especially if you're working a job, especially if you've lived 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years plus up to this moment in time, you've had habits that you've developed. To be successful as a business owner, you literally have to change all of those habits. And that's why most people are not successful in business, because they're not willing to change those habits. I got a comment here from somebody who's watching the live stream while we record this. And by the way, if you're listening to this podcast, we stream in most of the episodes live during the recording days that I record these. Jen says, how do you stop listening to the external noise and distraction? It's a choice. You see, we have no obligation to listen to the external noise or distraction. Many times we believe that we owe it to other people to listen to their opinions. But you're not obligated at all to do that. And it's not rude. It's not mean. It's not a bad thing as well, especially if it's coming possibly from somebody that's in your own house. Maybe a spouse, maybe a child, maybe a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, or somebody from your church, whatever that is. Could be news media. You have to still set boundaries internally. And I talk about boundaries often. Boundaries are so important. What messages you choose to allow in to your life. What messages you choose to allow. Is this serving me? Is this going to help me? Or is this hindering me? And so we're the ones that get to decide what that is. Oftentimes, though, throughout our life, we've been told and taught and experienced and had habits that we do not have the ability to choose what we listen to, and that we have to just let it all come in. And so it's about self-discipline. It's about deciding no more. It's about deciding to have self-respect for yourself enough that you're no longer going to allow that external noise and distraction to get inside your head and to stop you from doing what you need to do. Personal responsibility and taking personal responsibility and developing self-discipline are the key to having unwavering levels of self-confidence and self-belief. They're a huge key to that. There's some great books on that topic, by the way, that I love. Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink is a great book. The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks is another great book. You're a Badass by Jen Sincero is another great book. And Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. Those 4 books I would put at the top of my book list as what helped me learn how to stop listening to the external noise and to grow in my own self-belief. And then that actually then brought me back into, like I mentioned, my faith is where my biggest level of self-belief comes from, getting back into my faith and prayer time and spending time with God and growing in that way. But what it takes is a decision. It takes a decision that no longer are you going to live your life the way that you've lived it up to this moment in time. That's what it is. As humans, we make decisions based on oftentimes pain and pleasure. And what happens is when we decide that it's no longer pleasurable to keep doing what we've been doing, and it's actually more painful to keep doing what we've been doing, that will usually get us to stop doing those bad habits, because we realize, okay, it actually feels way better to do what's healthy for me, to take care of myself, to believe in myself, to be confident. That's what I had to get to. And as well, I spent 6 months meeting with a therapist every single week. 6 months, an hour a week, meeting with a therapist to work through childhood trauma, to work through business trauma. I'm telling you, it's a real thing. To work through corporate trauma. It's a real thing. Stuff that I had experienced in my life that was getting in there and creating these mechanisms and mental loops that were stopping me from being successful. And you know what happened out of that? Clarity came. Realizing, A, I'm the only one that's responsible for how my life is going. My family is not responsible for that. My wife is not responsible for that. My parents are not responsible for that. I'm the one that's responsible for the way that my future goes. Did things happen to me in the past? Sure, but I can't change those. But what I can decide is what I'm going to do in the future. And so as business owners, we have to believe in ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves regardless of what external noise and influences are coming in, regardless of who says what about us, regardless of what we feel today. My friends, I don't always feel the greatest putting stuff out there and putting content out there, and sometimes I'm really exhausted and tired, and you know what? I'll give myself those days as self-care days and I'll rest. But at the same time, I got to discipline myself. I got to stay consistent, got to stay on track to the plan that I have for my life and for my business. And then I got to cultivate in me that self-belief. Now, how do I do that? This is the big kind of solution that I've been leading up to. Find things in your life. If you're listening to this right now, I love that there's some people live on this. And if you take nothing away from this podcast episode but this one thing, this is going to change everything for you. I promise. Think back to what makes you the happiest, the most confident on a regular basis. And maybe it's been years since you felt that way. I get it. Might have been years since you felt that way. So it might take you a couple weeks or even a couple months to get there. But think back to the times when you had the most belief in yourself and the most confidence. Like, think back to it, visualize it in your mind. And then find ways, again, like I said, you may not be able to right now, might be in the future, but find ways every single day to create situations and scenarios that will bring you back to that place of self-belief and self-confidence. It could be a friend that you talk to that maybe you haven't spoken with in a while. It could be calling a family member. It could be reading your Bible. That's what it was for me. So I'm like, okay, if I read the Bible every single day, my self-confidence and self-belief goes up. I might as well make that a habit in my life if it has that much of an impact on the rest of my life. And so figure out, what are those things for you that raise your level of happiness and self-confidence, and then commit to doing more of those things every single day. Giving yourself permission to be happy and be confident more hours in the day. I think many of us feel guilty for that. And we've been taught that it's wrong to feel those ways. And that's just a lie. It is just a lie. And so you can be intentional to discipline yourself to do what's pleasurable, in the sense that you're raising your level of self-belief and self-confidence every single day and disciplining yourself to actually do what feels good more often. This is something that I think a lot of people are taught is bad. And yet it's the number one thing when I talk to business owners, when I talk to successful multimillionaires, they do every single day. It's their rituals. It's the rituals that they have in the morning that they do when they get up. Is how do I cultivate that level of belief, confidence, and happiness to get myself to that place? Because then the rest of the day flows from that place. And so I want you to think about that. What are those things that make you happy? What are those things that raise your level of self-confidence? And then do more of those things on a daily basis. When you're kind of feeling a little down, instead of sitting in the sorrow, think of, wait, I'm going to shift. I'm going to change my state. I'm going to change where I'm at and what I'm doing and do more of what makes me happy. And then go back into your work, go back into your business, and watch the change that happens to your ROI. It's going to be incredible. So I hope that this has helped you, my friends. I hope that you pulled some wisdom from this that you can apply to your life, both about boundaries, about self-belief. And I think it's a real catalyst for profit as business owners. That when you believe in yourselves, you can sell more of what you're selling. That you can get more customers. You will attract more customers to you just because people want to be around you in that. And so learn to develop that. Learn to cultivate that in you every single day. And I believe that your business and your life will change. Now listen, if you haven't yet, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to hear, what are you dealing with in your business? What's stopping you? We talk about strategy. We talk about mindset, all these different things. Send me a DM, leave a comment, or schedule a free 15-minute call with me on my website, jeremiahkrakowski.com. And let's talk about your business and how to take you to the next level to start to get more sales. I believe if you're listening to this podcast episode, you have what it takes to become a millionaire. You just got to change your habits and change your activities. Now listen, it's not easy, but if you follow the path, if you make the necessary changes, if you do what millionaires do, it's the result and the path that you will start to walk down. And so I truly believe that nothing is impossible for you. And that's what this podcast episode is about. If it's impacted you, if it's helped you in any way, share it with some other people. Grow your life, everybody.